Cadillac and Porsche complete 24-hour tests ahead of final amalgamation. Lamborghini announces who will be running their LMDh program in the World Endurance Championship and IMSA in 2024. And the final Porsche customer team has been announced. But will they have their cars in time for Daytona? So you know how I said that Porsche completed a 24-hour test? Well, I lied. They actually completed a 36-hour test at Sebring with their Porsche 963. The car completed 1,218 laps for a total of about 7,331 kilometers. Over the course of the test, 9 drivers took part in a 36-hour marathon around Sebring, the equivalent of 12 hours of Sebrings. It was an impressive feat by Porsche, but Porsche was not the only team that completed a long endurance test at Sebring. Cadillac also completed a 24-hour test of their own. They got up to about 19,000 kilometers, or about 11,800 miles of total testing throughout all of their test sessions thus far. In the Cadillac test, it featured 2 cars that were on track, one of them for only half of the 24-hour duration, but it was the Chip Ganassi Racing Cadillac who completed the 24-hour test. They were said to have limited downtime during this test, and meanwhile, while that was going on, Action Express Racing was going through specific tests for the car, and they rounded out to about 12 hours of total testing. Also of note in this test, it was not just one driver lineup that was present. The first 12 hours were completed by the IMSA trio of Renger van de Zande, Sebastian Bourdais, and a third driver that was believed to be Scott Dixon. And then for the remaining 12 hours, it was the World Endurance Championship lineup, consisting of Alex Lynn, Richard Westbrook, and Earl Bamber, who rounded out that test. Now, in addition to the 2 Cadillacs that were present for the test, there was also reportedly BMW and Acura at Sebring at the same time. However, it was not reported that they had as successful of a test, with one of the manufacturers actually having to call it early. All of this comes as manufacturers are working towards the final stages of amalgamation for their cars, which is set to take place into mid and late November. I mean, at this point, it sure looks like Porsche and Cadillac are leading the way in terms of testing progress, but what do you think? Let me know down in the comments or on Twitter at Off in the S's. Lamborghini has unveiled who is going to be running their LMDh programs in IMSA and the World Endurance Championship in 2024. Iron Lynx, who is well known for representing Ferrari in the GT ranks of the World Endurance Championship, ELMS, and the Fanatec GT World Challenge, they will make the switch. This is big news. They will make the switch from Ferrari to Lamborghini in 2023, as they are set to enter the top flight of sports car racing in 2024 for the very first time. In addition to the switch to Lamborghini and running their LMDh program, they are also going to be switching to Lamborghini in the GT ranks for 2023. They are set to run in IMSA in 2023 with at least an Endurance Cup GT program, but in 2024, their IMSA program is also going to mainly consist of endurance-only events. This was confirmed by Lamborghini's head of motorsports, Giorgio Senna, in what he called a good first step into the GTP class. With this announcement, it was also confirmed that Lamborghini is going to be testing 2 cars in parallel to one another, one focusing on the European circuits and another one that will be working overseas. They'll be testing at the same time, and hopefully they'll be able to catch up to the other LMDh manufacturers that are kicking off next year in 2023. The car is expected to hit the track in early 2023, and some good news out of the Lamborghini camp is they have recently entered the production phase for some of their car components, so we are going to start to see this Lamborghini come together shortly, and hopefully we'll see a launch of this car, who knows, early in 2023, hopefully, but some nice news filler between Daytona and Sebring. Good news on the Lamborghini front, but some not so good news for another potential LMDh manufacturer, as Hyundai has confirmed that they will not be putting together an LMDh program. It was previously believed that Hyundai was interested in the LMDh formula, but recently in a conversation with Sports Car 365, Bryan Herta Autosports owner, Bryan Herta, confirmed that when he was asked about a potential LMDh program that we very much wanted to do it with Hyundai. I think there was some interest. There was some genuine interest in it. But they've got other priorities right now, and their focus on electrification, their focus on fuel cell technology. I think those are areas where they're probably more inclined to take motorsport investments in the short term. We also had, I thought, a real shot at another manufacturer's LMDh program, but in the end, that didn't come to fruition either. This kind of leads you to believe, was Bryan Herta Autosport potentially in the running for the Lamborghini LMDh, the factory gig there, or to run the factory program? We'll probably never know, but what we've learned from this is Bryan Herta Autosport was heavily interested in an LMDh program, and perhaps with some more manufacturers potentially entering the space in the next couple years, they might not be done in this space just yet. Jumping back over to the Porsche camp now, and according to a motorsport.com article, which is linked in the description below, Porsche Motorsport boss Thomas Laurenbach said, "I don't think it's going to happen," when he was asked about the 2 customer entry LMDh cars that were set to be delivered in time for the Rolex 24. He was also quoted to Sports Car 365 saying that it would be extremely tough to have the customer cars prepared and on the grid at Daytona. Now, JDC Miller Motorsports was already confirmed as one of the customer teams to race in IMSA next season with the customer Porsche 963, but it was recently announced that Proton Competition will be the second team to run in IMSA. They are also doing a World Endurance Championship ride as well. And as a result of these cars being delayed, JDC Miller Motorsports is reportedly looking into an LMP2 entry for the Rolex 24. Also, in some Porsche-related news, they confirmed the final 2 drivers for their factory Porsche 963 LMDh program. Those were confirmed to be Nick Tandy, who recently departed the Corvette factory program, and Frederick Mekowicki. That brings their stable of drivers to the 10 that they were looking for, ahead of their 2-car entries in IMSA and the World Endurance Championship. As we quickly approach the start of the 2023 season, there are still some big questions surrounding the entry list for the Rolex 24, and if there will be enough space for all of the entries. You can learn all about that right here. Thanks for tuning in, and a big thank you to all of our Patreon supporters for helping to support the show. If you want to support the show, then you can check out the link to that in the show notes. But with that, I hope everyone has a great race weekend and doesn't go off in the S's.